Thank you. I'm Prakhar Mittal, and I'm an undergraduate teaching assistant for the object-oriented programming class at Georgia Tech. So I'm here to talk about my experience as a TA.
Yeah, so how does one even know that this is for you? Like, and why did you apply? And what is the application process like to become a TA?
Okay, so I think like for me, it started off like with helping people. So even when I was taking the class, I wanted to help my peers with something. And I've always been the sort of person that like my friends would used to like come over to my house to maybe like study in a group session, or like we would learn from each other. So I really benefited from a group setting. So I couldn't really like study or focus like myself. I needed that extra person to like guide me. And I believe like that's when I realized that I can be that extra person for another person as well. And teaching just like it just really feels good. Like you would know that like the joy when you see a student of yours who was maybe struggling, and then they make a significant leap and they understand everything. So making that, going with them through that journey is really, really rewarding.
Great. And what is the application process like at Georgia Tech to become one TA?
Okay, so I am at the College of Computing, and TAing is really, really popular here. So most people like who score a B or an A are eligible. So a lot of them apply, which is usually done through an online form, and you fill in basic like short questions, like 30-word questions, like why you want to be a TA and so on. And then the next step is usually a technical interview. So an existing TA will ask you questions, both like technical questions and personal questions. And then usually there's a short teaching segment to see how well you can teach, because understanding a concept is different from being able to teach it. So it's like a three-stage process in that sense.
Great. And in terms of looking back, what is it that you feel that you have gained other than, becoming a better learner while teaching? Maybe there are certain organizational skills. And also the last part of it, my question would be, what benefits other than those would you say a TA can expect at Georgia Tech?
So a lot of the classes, especially intro level classes, are run mostly by TAs. So we have a lot of jobs to do. So that could be grading, and that could be making new homeworks, making auto graders, and helping the students on Piazza, which is like a doubt solving platform, and then also holding office hours. So like managing your time doing all these activities while doing your own classes is a pretty big like thing that I learned. So I was struggling a bit initially, but like you learn that over time, and that's a really important skill that would help you in any job you have in the future as well. And on top of that, as you mentioned, like when you teach, you learn the concepts yourself as well. Like you learn from your students every day, and that's another like really good thing. And lastly, I would say that like from an organizational point of view, just like making new homeworks, making tests, holding office hours, you learn both like team working skills, because you have to work with your peers and TAs and the professor. You learn a lot of people skills, and also like technical skills, for example, if you're making auto graders. So it's a really like holistic learning experience as a TA, and that's really something I value.
So that's great. So as you sort of progress in the application period, and we really had interesting sort of discussions on various things, including mostly your essays. Um, what are the key attributes of a successful application according to you?
That's an interesting question. So I think like there isn't really a template for an application. Like an application really needs to be like personal to you and reflect like your passions, your interests, your personality even. So for example, like I didn't really feel like doing projects or community service, even if I wasn't interested in them. I did them for my own like genuine interest. And that's something I feel like colleges can see through. Like if you're really interested in something, that should come across your application. And that's what will make for a good application. So having depth into like whatever you're doing and explaining like why you feel a certain way or what like you're passionate about and why. So that's like something colleges really look for, and not just like perfect scores and like sugar coated extracurriculars that won't really do much.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. So I think demonstrating passion through obviously your continuous interest in something over 1 or 2 years or even more, and then the way you express yourself on paper to sort of display that passion is so important. So when you started writing essays for the Common App and the personal essay in particular, how did you sort of, I know we had a interesting time discussing about you being a night owl, but what was the journey like? What topics were you interested in initially to explore in your Common App essay, and then why did you settle for the topic you chose, and what was the topic, so let everyone know about it.
Okay, so I wrote basically about like my insomnia and like why I felt much more like productive and active during the night. So, I mean, that sounds like a pretty basic topic, but it really was something that I found like was personal to me and like really a big part of my personality. So, like the entire journey of it, I didn't really know where to start. I felt like I didn't really know how I could just define like everything that I wanted to talk about in just one essay, and it was pretty difficult for me. So, you and I really had like a lot of chats about it. But um I really like I thought about like my relationship with my family, or like a time in school when I had a challenge and I overcame it, or some things I learned during a particular incident and things like that. But eventually we settled on like the insomnia topic because I feel like it gave a unique sort of perspective about how I thought and why I like the sense of freedom that I got at night, and all the like the relation with my childhood nightmares, for example. All that was like personal to me. So that really reflected my personality, and I really like that part about my essay.